Let's get the equation of the line that passes through these points. And we're given 2 points, no slope, so we'll have to go get the slope. But in order to do this, we need a template to use. And I think we should use the point slope template, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're going to use that with, all right, x1 equaling, now I'm going to read left to right. So I'm just going to read this as x1 being the first x that I see is negative 1. So I'm going to use negative 1. And then y1, the first y that I see is negative 2, so I'll use a negative 2. And then we need to get the slope. So the slope, well, we don't have the slope, right? But we do have 2 points. So we have a formula for the slope passing through 2 points. It's a fraction. Numerator goes y2 minus y1. Denominator is x2 minus x1. Let's substitute here, and we will get, now, second y minus first y. As I look up here, I'm just reading left to right. The second y I see is a 1, and the first y I see is a negative 2. So this is going to be 1 minus negative 2 over second x minus first x. Second x is a 3 minus that first x. So it's going to be 3 minus negative 1. This will give us 1 plus 2 over 3 plus 1. So we'll get 3/4. So there's our slope. Now we can use this formula here, this template, with x1 being negative 1, y1 being negative 2, and m being 3/4. So let's do that right here. So let's substitute these values, x1, y1, and m, into this template. We will get y minus y1, which is negative 2, equals m, 3/4, times x minus x1, which is negative 1. How about y plus 2 equals 3/4 x plus 1. And now distribute. We'll get y plus 2 equals 3/4 x plus 3/4. And now what we need to do here is to subtract that 2. So we'll get y equals 3/4 x plus 3/4 minus 2. Now let's combine these. So this is going to be y equals 3/4 x plus, this is really 2 over 1. So how about if we write this 3/4 minus, now I want the denominator here to be a 4. So if I multiply 1 by 4, I'll get that 4. Then I have to multiply the top by 4. So that'll be an 8. 2 times 4 is the 8. And sure enough, right, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now we can combine these two fractions with the same denominator. So we will get y equals 3/4 x plus, okay, over that denominator, 3 minus 8. So here we go. Y equals 3/4 x, and then this is going to be 3 minus 8 is negative. So I'm going to write negative 5. I'll put the negative out there, negative 5 over 4. There's our equation. Now here in 9, we're given these two intercepts, right? Do you recognize them as intercepts? This is, what do you think, x or y? There's no horizontal movement, but 4 up on the y. This is the y-intercept. This is the x-intercept. But we're going to work this just like we've worked the last few problems. We have 2 points, so let's use the template for the point slope form, which is, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and we're going to use that with x1 being 4. No, not really. x1 is 0. Now, I could use that 4, but I just like to read it from left to right. So if I read left to right, that's the first x I see, so I'll use 0. If I read right to left, I'll get a 4. But let's use a 0, and then y1, that's going to be the 4, and m, well, we'll have to go get the slope. So the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and now let's substitute into this formula for the slope. We'll get second y minus first y, so second y minus first y. 0 minus 4. Over second x minus first x. Up here, second x minus the first x. So that's going to be 4 minus 0. So that gives us negative 4 over 4. So the slope is negative 1. So let's substitute. Now we'll get y minus y1, which is 4, equals m, negative 1, times x minus x1, which is just 0, right? y1 up here is 4, right? y1 is, oh, what a mess. y1 is 4, x1 is 0. So keep going along here. This will give us y minus 4 equals, now when I multiply through, I get negative x, and then negative 1 times 0 is 0, so I don't have to write that, and then I'm just going to add 4 to get this solution. So I'm going to have this. I'll have y is equal to negative x plus 4. There we go. Now, just so you can see what happened here, what would it look like if we did this? What if I used x1 being 4 and y1 being 0, right? Instead of using this as our first point, I use this as the first point. So here's what would happen. Our slope would become, okay, y2 minus y1. It would be, now this is the first, this is the second. So it would be y2 minus y1. So it would be 4 minus 0. And then x2 minus x1 becomes 0 minus 4. Remember, this is the first point, this is the second, if we're reading this way. So it'll be 0 minus 4. Now that gives us 4 over negative 4, which is still negative 1. We still get the same slope. Now let's substitute in. So we'll get y minus y1, which is 0, equals m, negative 1, times x minus x1, which would be 4. This just gives us y minus 0 is y, equals, now multiply through, negative 1x, or negative x, and then negative 1 times negative 4 is plus 4. And look what we have. These are identical. So it doesn't matter which point you use as the first one or the second one.